Hello, my name is Anita, and I want to spend some time with you now, being with our self talk. It's the most important thing in the world how we speak to ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, because we don't necessarily have control or power over what happens around us, but we do have full power and control about how we feel about ourselves and being in the world. We all have, to varying degrees, different limiting beliefs about ourselves or what is possible or about the world. And in my work, I have found that a lot of people have an incredible amount of judgments towards themselves, or they have a habit of mislabeling how they are and what they are doing. And it's understandable why people so regularly on a daily basis mislabel, don't perceive accurately, according to my perspective, accurately, because of the environment that we've grown up in. And so I want to spend some time with you about shifting our self-talk so that we are moving towards the direction of what we want. So every day it gets easier and easier to feel more kindly towards ourselves, to expect better things for ourselves rather than set the bar too low. So have a think about a limiting belief that you have and see how you can flip it. So I was working with a woman the other day and she said, I'm so superficial. I just flit from one thing to the other. I don't go in deep. I just do surface. And I said to her, when she said, like a butterfly, I said, well, aren't butterflies beautiful? And do we all need to do things the same way? That can't we go surface and that be meaningful and beautiful, just like a butterfly? So many times I hear women saying, say, for example, they're lazy. And for me, working from the perspective of our energy system is a reflection of the beliefs that we have and our connection to our power and our life force energy, that when you say you're lazy, you're actually making, I believe, an inaccurate conclusion, and that it's just that you don't have access to all your life energy that's available for you because your energy's going in different directions because of unresolved traumas or limiting beliefs that are not aligned with the direction that you want to go. So see how you go with writing out on a piece of paper a list of judgments about yourself or the world or what's possible for you, and have a line in the middle of the paper, and then opposite each of those limiting statements, see if you can flip it, like I suggested with the woman that I worked with, that butterflies are beautiful. There are more ways to be in the world that are all satisfying and contribute and are meaningful and beautiful. We don't all have to go deep. Look, we actually, as we went further in our conversation, it came up without her having to work hard to sharing how she does go deep. But it's only in the things that she has a passion or an interest and energy towards. So it was like she was judging herself for not going deep in the things that she perceives other people think is of necessity to do. And she was going deep, totally going deep in the things that she was passionate about. And so she was actually judging herself. And the way I describe it is that we jump out of our skin and we see ourselves through the eyes of another person. and what we consider what is right about how we should be. So my suggestion for you about shifting that self-talk is be kind to yourself. Don't expect to do it tomorrow, because remember, each day when you pick up a limiting aspect of your self-talk and just attempt to flip one of them each day, over time it will create a frustration. Because if you tell yourself, hurry up, I should have this all together now, I don't want another limiting thought, I've just got to fix this now, then you create a pressure on top of a pressure, and you're putting an unrealistic expectation on yourself to be in the destination instead of the journey. And we all know it's all about the journey. The minute you get to a destination, you want the next destination. There's always another destination and another journey to take. So lean back, yeah, because there's enough journeys and destinations throughout our whole life. And just stay in your energy where you are right now, rather than trying to race ahead, because as soon as you do that, your energy's not with you. And let's just begin with naming some statements that can soothe you. Think about it being not unrealistic thoughts that you can't imagine, or that feel too far away from you that your system can't eat. We need to be able to digest them and be nourished by them. And if there is an idea that we'd like that, but intrinsically in our body we can't receive it, then it's not useless. It isn't useless. It's not edible for us, and we need to be able to eat the good food. Yeah. So have a think about the words that your system really needs to hear, feel, know, that are kind and accepting and allowing of where you are. So I'll just off the top of my head just say a few things, and I hope that it supports you to explore where you are so that you can get to better feeling thoughts, and that allows a progression. And it's just about focusing in the direction that you want to go, allowing it to unfold in its own way, because your journey will reveal exactly what you need to be focused on. And if we rush through it, it's not possible. We can't rush through our journey, yeah? It takes the time that it takes. And so let's get ready and just be willing to be getting ready to be ready. Okay. So I know that everything can't happen all at once. And I know there's a part of me that would really like things to move fast. But I know that certain times in my life that magic has happened when unexpected things happen in the moment that arise of their own accord. And I really love when things happen from their own accord, because then I know it's my deep self speaking to me. And so I really want to be receptive to my inner being, to my inner intelligence that tells me everything will be okay. Everything's figure outable. I'm working it out, and I can't work it out all at once, because that's not what living is. That all I need to do is work out what's happening in this moment, right this very second, and I know I can do that. And I know I can make the choice in this moment of what's right in this very moment. And that's not too much. And when I keep doing that day by day, and yes, sometimes I'll be more on track than other days, but when I keep focusing in the direction that I want, everything will work out. And I know that I'm in a better place than I was a few years ago. And that will keep happening. And I know, just like a seed in the ground, when you can't see it, but it's been planted, is growing and getting nourished by everything that is unseen to the visible human eye. And then one day, when you don't even realize that will be the day, something breaks through, a new shoot, a new awareness, a new connection, because those deep inner workings have been working, doing their thing. And so too, in my journey, there's things that happen without my conscious awareness. Just like when I go to sleep at night, I don't have to tell my body to keep breathing, and I don't have to tell my lungs to keep inhaling and exhaling, or my heart to keep pumping. I know there is an inner intelligence that's looking after me, whether I'm thinking about it or not, whether I'm awake or asleep. And so I know, just as I've got through everything that I've been with in my life so far, that there is more that I will progress through that is not yet known. And that is part of the adventure of life. So that's an example of some self-talk that I would do to myself. And I really encourage you to do it out loud, because it's far more powerful when we do it out loud. So speaking to yourself, as I was, very kindly and allowing and encouraging, is really, really powerful. And another thing, like as I've suggested with the activity, see if you can flip it and make how it is to be okay. And so it's like, if you're not feeling inclined to do something, being able to say to yourself, well, there's a reason why I don't have the energy to do this. And even if I might not understand it totally, another part of me maybe has some idea about why that energy is not where I want it to be. And I wonder how I can pivot from this place right now to do what is necessary for me to do right now, but from a different internal position, so that I can make a choice, so that rather than I have to do this, is I'm choosing to do this and finding the better feeling thought of the choosing. And when there's those options, being able to have that self-talk to then go, well, when you've got those options, well, I'm going to do this now instead of that. And I'll come back to that later. But right now I need to do this to nourish me. And so there are just a few examples of different ways of being with the self-talk. And when it's difficult to be with the self-talk, because maybe we haven't had it modeled to us and we haven't been able to practice it or know the words to do it, then it's, to me, as women have said to me, it's like learning another language. And so being able to build your vocabulary about sensings and feelings, and remember that when you're doing all of this, you are creating new neural pathways. The brain has plasticity. It is always growing when we don't keep repeating and reacting in the same way. Soon as you're trying to think of something, even when you can't find the new words, it means your system is doing a search and creating new neural pathways. So don't feel like when you're doing your process of self-talk that you're not getting anywhere, because even when you don't realize it, that searching process is creating and carving out new neural pathways, and you will see the effect of that in the hours, the days, and the weeks to follow. So keep going with it and searching and finding the better feeling words that give you comfort and soothe you. And so your barometer about what you're saying, if it's making a difference for you, is how you feel. If you feel uplifted, if you feel secure, if you feel at ease with what was causing you some pressure. So have a go. Anything you do is an important step in creating more neural pathways, and momentum will develop as long as you just keep doing it each day. And it doesn't need to be for long, but an easy time of day to do that self-talk is before you get out of bed and before the day pushes and pulls you. So when you lie in your bed before you wake up, well, not before you wake up, before you wake up to the day, but before you're even fully awake and you're still in that in-between state, start to notice what you appreciate. I love the comfort of my bed. I love the peacefulness of being in my bed and the coziness of my doona and the mattress, and just knowing that this is my place, my sacred place in the world that's just here for me. Just saying those words, whatever it is that's for you, and setting an intention about you and how you engage with you in the day before you get up, and do that from that feeling place and then let it go. So we get out of our own way. You don't have to work to make things happen. Just get out of the way. You just set it free, that intention. So it's like, so setting it free in a way that doesn't put pressure on you. So I wonder how I will be able to be kind or kinder to myself in the way I think and feel about me in the world today, and just put that out there and see what happens. And I could go on and on. This is a big, passionate area of mine. It's the thing that in my own journey through childhood abuse, neglect, and trauma, and through my adult experience of domestic violence, when I felt so alone in the world and scared and not in touch with my own creative powers about how I can create and feel better and not rely on anyone or anything to be able to feel better. That journey took me to know and learn so much about self-talk and know it in the full continuum on both ends. And in working with women for 25 years this year, I've heard, and men, but primarily women, I've heard a lot of stories about how we talk about ourselves, whether we literally do it consciously or whether it's just more unconscious and we discover it through our behaviours. And so begin today to be with that self-talk, because when we shift that inner, the outer is transformed, and it's far more consistent then when we do it from the inside and solid, and it's beautiful when we can have that as that constant feeding of ourselves and nourishing of ourselves. So I wish you well in your journey of your self-talk, and I hope these tips and suggestions, think of it like talking to your best friend, because when we are thinking towards ourselves, we've got these limiting beliefs and these neural pathway blocks. But if you think about your best friend or your child, the neural pathway blocks aren't there. in that way that they are for ourselves. And so it will free up what to say when you can step outside yourself and imagine, if this was to do with someone else, what would you be saying to your best friend or your child? And so that can be a way to bypass some of those limiting beliefs. And just, if instead of thinking about it as self-talk, and you just be your best friend. I remember one day I was washing the dishes and I was living on my own, and my children had grown up and left home. And I was washing the dishes and cooking my dinner, and I realized I'm not alone. I am with me. I exist. And so be that best friend to yourself, and you'll find that the self-talk becomes really easy over time. Just never giving up. Have that unconditional love for you, and you will get to the most beautiful self-talk for yourself that then happens without you having to work hard in any of the usual ways. Just flowing, that it's your natural, potent life energy speaking to you, there for you, surrounding you, encouraging you, enfolding you. Blessed be.